why Blink-182 doesn't exist. It's very true. Thinking about it over time, I used to beat myself up because of how much I used to not socialize. I used to be very jealous of the Blink-182 lifestyle. Acting stupid, getting drunk with my best friends isn't actually real. It hasn't been true for the longest time. You know where that comes from? That comes from a long line of getting into trouble, doing drugs. That's the only way you can actually live that lifestyle, really learning from it. You have to really be very rich. You can't live that casual. When you're imagining everybody else having fun, riding their bikes, listening to music, drinking carbonated soda, smoking cigarettes, listening to, some bad mouth music, always, impressing people, gorilla girls having fun, going to parties. That's all lies, that's all hoopla. If you actually know how the hood works, you actually know how socializing works in general, it's very lonely. If you know how being popular works in general, being popular works like me, like very lonely over time. I didn't know how to get girls at first, but literally I got into trouble. I learned how to grab my own shit to the point where I started to, fucking buy specific shoelaces because I was running out of shoes. So you're thinking when you're just teenager, people are just so popular lately with all these, fancy shoes like Vans, Jordans, Nike, Lily. And out of nowhere, somebody comes with a pair of black Vans with some Rastafarian laces, and you're really jealous, and you think like they live the life, and every time you see a person, they work for a girl, they know a lot of what they're talking about. It sounds like they're so intricate. No, it's all about being a gang. Their gang makes the music. Like, I used to be jealous of Isaiah Little listening to like hardcore music, hanging out with, girls after school, able to bring old drinks out. He was able to play guitar, and he was a part of the actual, rock gang. And you have to understand that, when they produce, content, when you have friends who do shit for you, it's the same thing when I have friends who do shit for me for business. Like, I would just say, like, I'll get a girl and, regular make a song. We all have that shit. And that is really, really bad. Because that's really, really loser shit. Because over time, you'll be on top of the road and then you end up, just dancing in front of the liquor store, trying to see if you can bump some money. It hurts to tell you this, but it sucks because Blink-182 will never be real, because you have to understand that is for, people who get used, people, because you have to understand how parties work. One person gets all the songs. You know how I find all this fucking music is because I used to be a nerd. People used to reject me in school. All I could do was look up random songs online, and I ended up, pulling girls, and I ended up showing those random songs to girls, and then later on, like, really, now we finally live in Blink-182 for like over time. But after living in an anarchy society, we kicked everybody out, and I got this idea taking that when I was there, and I was jealous of him because he knew all the spots, and he knew where to go, and everything he did was interesting. He always rode a skateboard, and that's because he's the actual archetype. You know what archetype is? The archetype is, an actual, genre, Yu-Gi-Oh! All the cards are supportive of the same type for the deck. There's no cards that deviate, so it's one clear deck. Like, it's the Dark Magician deck, Jordan Realist deck, the Blue Eyes White Dragon deck. They're all mainstream decks, right? That's what they're working with. What Isaiah was working with was actually being a part of a movement, actually being a part of a community, actually being a part of his race, and that's really, really helpful when it comes to social interactions, because a lot of black people I learned from the hood are non-virgins because they lowered the standards, but they lowered the standards for realistically in order to keep themselves safe. Like, they don't, flirt with Mexican girls because they know they have infuriates gangs, and they only F on a black woman. Kind of funny because they mess with MT, but when they ask, like, how are your girls like mood tricks, and they're all like, oh, really, they don't answer that because they know it's a cruel world out there, but it's actually, a very loving, understanding world, and they try to tell them, through silence that they have to get a black girl, and I have a little bit more privilege because of my sex appeal due to being both nationalities, the part right and black. Predominantly black, but Isaiah, me and him would smoke weed or hang around with a whole bunch of random, punk rock girls that would listen to like some really heavy music like Five Leaf. I think there was this one girl named Tyga, there was Tyga, there was Kanani, there was Eric, from Eric versus Ralph. Are all wearing skinny jeans and Vans, riding skateboards and beanies, and even the girls were very stylish. And me, I had, decent wearing. I didn't know what was going on. Like, I had no knowledge of each band. I look at music, I'm like, oh, but they're all like, nah, my music is a part of a gang. Everything is function. You can't play Blink-182 with them. You gotta play heavy metal because literally they do ecstasy, they do everything. Like, every time I was walking around, I say we'd always like literally to a random place where we would smoke cigarettes and try to flex in front of a girl and hang around multiple people. Literally, we went to after warehouse and he was lifting something and smoking a cigarette at the same time. That I knew he was trying too hard. You see that random guy in school with those Rastafarian shoelaces. Remember, he didn't come up with the idea himself. Somebody gave him that and told him to wear it in order to make somebody jealous. And that's where evaluation. I'm telling you, everything you hear in Blink-182 is someone on drugs. I'm not disrespecting them, but you think this whole shit on TV where it's like, you know, MTV Summer Jam, you know, Beverly Hills, that shit out of here. First off, they're talking about people who are over 30 who have, you know, well-paid jobs who are able to, like, literally, be their own boss. First off, you have to be able to create your own schedule in order to have the freedom to fuck those girls. You have to be an entrepreneur. One thing, you have to be a Rockefeller. You have to learn, you know, like, back and forth. You have to really treat people like they ain't shit. Like, you have to be self-employed and really be homeless in order to have that much fun. You have to be able to, like, you know, make a beat. You have to be able to, like, be willing to be betrayed by people in order to learn all those tricks and, you know, traits. And, you know, what ended up happening is I had the idea. So back in high school, I was jealous because I was just trying to fit in. So I say it's with all these girls who looks like he knows what he's doing. And, like, we end up, you know, smoking, literally going to, you know, places like Hot Topic. I'm like, what's Hot Topic? You know, I've been to Hot Topic before, but he actually goes to them all a lot because, you know, I'm just used to shopping and grabbing Marianne. And so we even went to Target and bought the Sour Patch Kids. I was, you know, jealous of like them. That was for legitimate reasons, but I figured out how I did because when I went to a group home, when I went to a different location, it was there in San Francisco. And I used to go to San Francisco, you know, to pretend I'm a celebrity. So first time I went out and I saw like little Asian girls dancing and I put it on my Snapchat, and I'm telling you, it comes with you dwelling in your own shit. There was R&B, you know, taking me to all those places, doing all those tricks with a skateboard, having all that noise and that music, and all that shit is bullcrap. When you figure out that that same person is only going out with her to make one guy jealous, it's fucking ridiculous. At the edge, you come for a different location in public school because you can't even be seen with business in public, and it's outrageous because I was just airscaping with Spice, Mamacita, and all my and a place where there was a bunch of graffiti, so it looked like we're fucking, you know what scene in every fucking, you know, I don't know if it's a movie, I don't know if it's like a fucking documentary, I don't know if it's some shit, when they're jumping from building to building, that's way ahead of its time. And you have to understand, I just got to do that with Spice, and literally, look at all the shit I had to fight. Look at how many people I had to fight to do that shit. Blink-182 does not exist. Literally, we're jumping in the air, literally, we're in park right here, acting just like Isaiah in high school, and I finally figured out how he did. I'm like, no, and you have to understand, literally, that takes a shitload of responsibility, and that's only because we're trained professionals. Remember, me, Spice, L, everybody on set is the same people who are on Network Grip, the same people, literally, who I'm hanging out with, or the same voice actors and not. So it's not like we're just socializing just for the fucking. You have to understand, that's because we're a part of an occupation. So all that fucking, you know, us acting like the Blink-182, airstable, the graffiti and shit. Remember, Isaiah did it first because he didn't know he was a pawn. I ain't supposed to have money to do that shit until you're over 30 anyway. So, in conclusion, Blink-182 does not exist. It's a very, you know, big exaggeration, you know, especially when you know it's dark in that. That's why we end up, you know, staying very sheltered, you know, in our early, you know, 20s and 30s. What do you think? And plus, me and Spice were doing that in a reckless setting. Thank God we're on set.